Hello everyone, Ally here, and today I am going to be doing a resource booster guide. Now first we're going to be talking about what resource boosters are, the policies that affect them, and just some general strategies. So first, what actually are resource boosters? Resource boosters are buildings that take science as an input and boost nearby mines. And that's all they do. Really, the main purpose of them is not to stockpile a ton of goods. It's more just to save permits. It's pretty cheap actually to just build a whole lot of mines in terms of the mine cost, but it's more and more increasingly expensive to build the permits for them. So that's really the main purpose of resource boosters overall, is just to save permits. So yeah, but they are very good at what they do. They can save you a ton of permits. Alright, so now on to the policies. Resource boosters have two policies, and I do think they're both what I like to call top 5 policies, which for me is I can get a little upwards of 5 policies once I get culture production running, but just if you can get these policies, they're very good. First is only on square maps, resource booster square. Makes the resource booster 25% better. So yeah, it's good. Then you have supply chain booster, which is a very interesting policy and kind of confusing. But basically, if a resource boosters can now boost some of your factories, but they can only boost the factories if they're also boosting one of its inputs. So for example, if you're boosting aluminum, you could boost batteries, but a battery factory, but if you're boosting aluminum, you could not boost a glass factory. And to boost a glass factory, you could be boosting aluminum and titanium, even though the titanium doesn't go into the battery. But what you can't do is, let's say you're boosting copper, you still can't boost an integrated circuit foundry, because the circuit foundry contains things other than tier 0 materials. So it contains the semiconductor, so it can't be boosted, but a semiconductor factory could be boosted because it contains only tier 0s with iron, silicon, and coal. So I hope I did a good job of explaining that, because it can be a little confusing. And so, yeah, well, like I was saying, both of these policies are absolutely worth it. They're basically essential policies. By that I mean, like, the best policy is adjacent plus. If you're going for one other, the next one to get is square adjacency, and from there you probably want resource square, then supply chain booster, and then renaissance is what I would say, but that's me. So now we're going to talk about some strategies you can use with the resource booster. And so the first strategy is supply chain boosting is good, but because you're making so much quantity of it, rather than doing what you would usually do and seeing stuff like steel as a low tier product, if some of your factories are making like 70k steel, then yeah, they're not a high tier product. But if one factory by itself is making like a million steel, then it basically is effectively as good as a higher tier product. And so, because of this, you want to have it surrounded with things to give it good adjacency. You don't really need to do this with all of them, but it is good, so do consider that. Then, secondly, consider what you want to boost. There are some things that, like, aren't that great to boost. Like, for example, you don't need to boost steel if you're going to go for social network, right? Because you don't need much steel for any of those things. So just do consider what you boost, because if you don't need it, then it's not really worth it. Also, you can only use a certain amount of resource boosters as they scale with the number of resource boosters. So basically what that means is if you have one resource booster, level 1, and then you don't change that booster, but you build another booster, the cost of the first one will go up. And it's only going to work like that, so you only do get a limited number. So, that will be based on your science output, but just really consider if it's worth it for you to be boosting a certain resource, if you really don't need to be. Like, because remember, it's about saving permits, so you do want to find good spots for them and don't have them boosting one resource. It's best if you can have them boosting like 3 or 4 or something. Yeah, so then the final thing is, again, it is about saving permits. So, take this hypothetical. If you have one resource booster boosting 2 things, let's say boosting, 2 things, and then there's a spot where it could boost 3. Now, is it better to build the 3 new things and a resource booster, or is it better to build another booster boosting the 2 things, right? Like, because you do lose out on the boosting of one mine, but you gain 4 permits for it. So, consider things like that. Overall, resource boosters are super important. Hope this guide helped you out. And that's it. I'm out. Appreciate it if you like, comment, or subscribe, any of that. And now I'm going to sleep.